Hi guys, it's Brooke here. I have a super quick favor to ask. When you have a moment, please take just a second to give this podcast a 5-star review. This will help me to continue the podcast and continue to bring these resources to the community. Thank you so much for that 5-star review.
I kept hearing from the therapist, we need to work on this, we need to work on this. You have your outside people telling you, well, your son's not where your peers are at. You need to work on this and this. And I finally realized, oh my Lord, there's a cacophony here. It's very easy. And I think every parent listening to this has gone through this to be overwhelmed. And I decided, let's truncate this down to one thing. I'm going to pick one thing every day and make him 2% better. And if we hit on multiple aspects, socialization, whatever it might be, that's cherry on top of the sundae. So what it does, it eliminates the cacophony.
Hey there, it's Brooke, and welcome to Finding Hope on the Spectrum, where I have heart-to-heart conversations with parents, professionals, and autistic individuals sharing personal insight and life experiences. Together, we dive deep into supports, programs, and stories that offer inspiration, insight, and most importantly, hope for the neurodiverse community. Before we begin with today's topic, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. And if you know someone who this would be helpful for, please pass it along. Remember to always stay curious, be kind, and have an open heart.
All right, welcome back to Finding Hope on the Spectrum. I'm really excited about our guest today. You guys are in for a serious treat. I had such a good time talking to him before our session today and getting to know him better. He is got so much energy, wealth of information. His energy stuck with me after we spoke last, so I know that's going to happen for you today too. So today we have Harry Psaros, the Pittsburgh-based autism advocate, author, and speaker, among many other things. His diverse background. He is the author of From Struggle to Strength: The Father's Journey with Autism and the Power of Hope and Positivity, where he shares his personal journey raising his son Gus. And Harry is also a dedicated board member of the Autism Caring Center and the founder of North Fayette PALS. And I'll have him share what that is today, a program about supporting children with special needs. And his work centers on hope, positivity, and building stronger, more inclusive communities. So welcome, Harry.
Thank you so much for having me. It's just an honor to be here.
Fantastic. Well, I just want to dive in. You have such an amazing story, incredible, so much inspiration behind it. And I want to go back to the beginning, kind of start, take us back to that place. What was life like before you realized something might be different with your son, Gus?
So beforehand, I'm now an executive neuroscience specialist for AbbVie and a senior writer for Pittsburgh Sports Now. I'm a sports influencer here in Pittsburgh, but I was an engineer, believe it or not. And I was your typical type A aggressive engineer in my 20s, wanting to succeed, build a career. I never saw any obstacles in my path. I've always been driven. I've always been positive. And I was putting in long hours with work. I married my high school sweetheart, my beautiful wife, Michelle. Life was going quite well, to be honest with you. And then obviously we were blessed when we found out we were pregnant with Gus. And I had these visions, I think like any other dad would, because of my sports background. I'm sitting there thinking, hey, I have the next linebacker for the University of Pittsburgh. This is great, And like I said, when he was born, we were ecstatic. He was gorgeous. He still is a handsome young man, but we were so happy. And my wife in the beginning is the hero in the story, because there's where she started coming to me and going, hey, Harry, I'm seeing these abnormalities. He's not looking me in the eye. He's not saying bye to me when I drop him off to your parents. He's not playing appropriately with cars. He would spin the wheels instead of running around. He doesn't seem peer appropriate. If you can't tell by now, within 2 seconds of the interview, I am a type A lunatic, and I'm a student of Monty Python. I like to joke, and I'm the type of guy that could have fun at an insurance seminar. I say this every interview. If you get me in a monastery, we're drinking beers with the monks. So it was impossible for me to fathom that my son had an issue. So I was kind of resentful towards my wife. I thought she wanted to label our son. And on top of that, the pediatricians were alienating my wife. Oh, he's just a boy. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. And then came up to the subsequent event where, she came back pretty upset and we discovered that he was on the spectrum and life changed from there, and I changed from there. But before that, everything was a go. I am a guy that goes 100 miles an hour with his hair on fire. And it was a paradigm shift in thinking at that point when we got the diagnosis.
Yeah, absolutely. And tell us about that. I know you shared a little bit about that birthday party story. That was kind of the turning point for her coming back from that. And tell us a little bit more about what that was like and what happened there.
And I want everyone to understand this. I was the belligerent dad. I was mad. I was angry. And what happened, my wife went to a preschool birthday party. And all of the other kids were centered around the gifts, around the cake. And I think people could picture that.
Yeah.
My son was off in the corner staring at a large fan and stimming. Back then, you would have the finger stim, and he did a lot of bongo drumming. And she could see that the preschool teacher, Miss Josie, who's a hero in the story, could see that my wife was upset. She came to my wife and said, "Listen, we got to talk. I love you. I love Harry, but I think your son's on the spectrum." And really, she was devastated. And then to coincide with that, Oprah Winfrey just had her first big autism awareness special. And you could check the box on the symptoms, the stimming, the lack of eye contact. She came home broken, not upset, broken. And that's when I realized, you know what, Harry, it might be time to listen to her. And we were very fortunate. We had a family member that, of all things, believe it or not, instead of having to wait 8 months to a year, she was part of the Cleveland Clinic's Autism Center. Within 2 weeks, we were there. And that's where we received the diagnosis. And I will tell you, part of my book is a big apology and a wake up for fathers. I was the belligerent, angry father. And I realized, you know what? It's time to shape up, get on board. First apologize to my spouse, then get behind her, then relentlessly, to this day, and I still do, help my son.
Yeah. Incredible. I mean, and I think your story is not uncommon for a lot of families. And I love that you're sharing it and your passion too for just your drive to help. And I'm excited for you to share more about your philosophy and your approach to that. I'm very much in line with the way that you go about doing things. And I think it's so powerful that you can, really send this message out there and help others, especially dads, but all families and professionals out there, with your lived experience. So, I think that's amazing that you were able to get in so quickly. And I know you've said, that you want to be the best version of yourself for your son. And, what did that look like for you as you were shifting that mindset?
I actually did a podcast earlier out of Southeast Asia, but it's a mindset podcast because I'm a mindset guy. And where I'm fortunate, and I counsel fathers from around the world at this point with my book. And I talked to several this weekend. So that 2-hour drive from Cleveland to Pittsburgh, anger, depression, frustration, everything, first hour. Second hour, and there's a reason, or you can see in the background, there's boxing gloves. I'm a boxer, a martial artist. I said, done. I'm done with all of that. I'm tabling that. My new goal, and I can't, I'm just constructed this way. I said, my new goal is to make my son the best version of what he can be. And to do that, I had to be, and you asked me, the best version of myself. And we talked about what a comprehensive male looks like. You could be both strong and you could be empathetic. And the reason I say that, we live in a society now with ridiculous toxic masculinity. Everybody thinks you need to demean people and act macho. I've been in the ring. I've knuckled up with people. thousands of times. But what I said to myself is I need to nurture, I need to support my wife. I need to support, when I say support my son, I'm talking relentlessly every day with I call it unrelenting love. Find new modalities to help him and make sure I'm moving him forward, and building a village. When I say building a village, bringing in friends and family, asking them first to educate themselves and then to help and assist them with education. And let me say this, it's been not controversial, but people have asked me, the reason the gold gloves are on the cover, I either went karate or boxing, I didn't, but I thought boxing was more universal. Gold is the color of hope. Second of all, I saw every single day is me entering the ring to help my son. And if I didn't assist him or do something that day, it's dropping your guard. And anybody that's fought, and I've done a lot of it, if you drop your guard, you're going to get knocked out. You're going to get some teeth knocked out.
Yeah.
So that was my mentality. I wanted to bring that warrior's mentality into the book. There's a lot of Sun Tzu. There's a lot of Bruce Lee, a lot of David Goggins. And I like David Goggins, the author, because he's no nonsense. I'm a no nonsense guy. If you give me an excuse, I'll flip it on you and say, find me a solution.
Yeah.
So that I really try to put my fortitude mentally together and go, you need to be the leader in this group. And let me say, I don't want to disparage anything. My wife is awesome. If anything, my wife's the hero in the book. I talk about everything she did. She's amazing. But I wanted to wake up every day and I talk about hope and positivity and bring that into this house because these children suffer enough outside. They, whether it's struggling with peers, sensitivity issues, everything going on, they should feel welcome and calm and supported in that household and by the parents.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what is so significant is that mindset shift. And you, as you mentioned, you're really big on mindset. And, and I talk a lot about the importance of self-care and, the parents being in a really regulated state so that their child has a regulated environment to live in and to be surrounded by that's full of love and care and hope. And I think that's so important. So many of our families are just struggling with feeling like they're in crisis or they're exhausted and they're not taking care of themselves to get to that place. And it has an impact on the child. And they're just so focused on the child. So,
okay. So you're talking my language, and there is honestly, I could have expanded 3 to 4 chapters in my book on self-care.
Yeah.
This is a martial arts, Bruce Lee. I'm Greek. I'm a Spartan philosophy, but I take impeccable care of myself. I watch every calorie. I work out all the time. I box, everything else.
Yeah.
I talk about that. If I need to be in optimal shape, both mentally and physically, to be able to assist, I have 2 boys too. One's a football player in college. The other is Gus. But I think it's imperative that the couples with a child on the spectrum or children on the spectrum give themselves time to take care of themselves. And my wife and I would switch up. I would come home knowing that she's already been through therapist in the morning, supervisor in the afternoon, therapist coming in the afternoon, and possibly a neurology appointment after that. So when she would come home, I would be like, go read a book, go do yoga, go what you need to do. Now, when it came my turn, I would go hit the heavy bag. I would go lift weights, something to blow off steam. I love working out at parks. I do a lot of functional Eastern style strength training. But on top of that, the cleaner you eat, and I talk about this in my book, you are the shepherd. Your child will follow what you're doing. I know it's not always easy. Neurologically, these children, if they're eating cleaner foods, whole foods, if need be, casein and gluten-free, you should be leading that charge. So I tell you this, and I actually, not reprimanded, that's a wrong word, but I counseled aggressively. How about that? A father this weekend I'm 52. He is 20 years younger than me. And I hate to say this, he was overweight. We were talking about it. And he says, we have Doritos in the house and Oreos. And I said, is your child consuming them? Oh, of course, every day. And I said, then you're doing him a disservice. I said, I would get a garbage bag and throw all of it out. And I hope I don't sound demonstrative to people, but I believe that if you want to run like a Ferrari, you can't put in sand. You have to put in high-octane gasoline. So I really believe you need to set the example on what to properly eat, even exercise and movement.
Yeah.
I understand there's some limitations when you're getting to level 2 and 3 with the children. I do guess this. I have an issue with parents that put their children on the spectrum, sit them in front of a TV all day, and they're just sitting there playing games. Walking is free. Yeah. Hiking is free. Running is free. There has to be something you can do to have them move. So I actually mentioned everything that's individualized: horseback riding, karate, bowling, but at least they're getting movement in. Yeah. And I think all of that really, really factors in. It's very, very important.
Yeah, 100%. I couldn't agree more. And I love that, you use the word that it's imperative. I think if you have that mindset to take care of yourself and to model that for your child, it's going to happen and you're going to prioritize it. It's really just about priorities. Not that it's always easy to do. It's not, but it is possible. And, and it pays off.
That father, we had a discussion, and I said, "Let me ask you, do you have any trails near your house?" He says, "We have a running track." I said, "Can you do 15 minutes of walking a day?" And honestly, he goes, "Well, yeah." I said, "Then you should be doing it." And I said, "You'll find it." And I said, "You know what? Grab your child." We were having this discussion. I said, "Is there any reason you can't bring your child with you?" "No." He goes, "I could do it." I said, "Good, then do a half hour. Get both of them." And you could see the light bulbs, but that's what I'm trying to do, is just kind of instill those changes in people to really help their situation. Because I do care. I'm not trying to be demonstrative or mean. Yeah. I just want to help their situation.
100%. And I think they can feel your passion and your care and, your efforts that are coming from such a good place. And I think sometimes as humans, we just need somebody else to give us that feedback because we get stuck. And that's, right. That's where you're coming in and really helping in a big way. Because as we talked about before, and we'll talk about it, here today, these little changes lead to big changes. So,
exactly.
It's incredibly important. And so I want to talk about the therapies that you explored and, that led you to this 2% rule. So let's talk a little bit more about that.
Sure. So, I mean, we're probably like any other family. We had I believe back, keep in mind, 20 years ago, but we had like the behavioral modification therapy. We had feeding therapy. We had they have a wonderful program here in Pittsburgh called Wesley Wonder Kids Socialization Therapy, where they're graded. And when I talk about I have to tell you, this 2% rule has really resonated. So you bring in the martial arts aspect. So when you're a white belt, I'm going to stand back a little, and you're throwing a punch, right? You might just put your arm out. You're doing a punch, but it's really not a punch. Then you progress up the belt level and you're a black belt. And what you understand is that after hours of incremental improvement, it starts at the root of the feet, it starts at the hips, and you rotate and you have your right knuckles in place. The point being is this: I kept hearing from the therapist, we need to work on this, we need to work on this. You have your outside people telling you, well, your son's not where your peers are at, you need to work on this and this. And I finally realized, oh my Lord, there's a cacophony here. It's very easy, and I think every parent listening to this has gone through this, to be overwhelmed. And I decided, let's truncate this down to one thing. I'm going to pick one thing every day and make him 2% better. And if we hit on multiple aspects, socialization, whatever it might be, that's cherry on top of the sundae. So what it does, it eliminates the cacophony, and I would go, today, we're going to work on approaching a friend. We're going to work on textures of foods. And I've been through all of this. But instead of going, oh my Lord, I was just given, and this happens, 10 different tasks that he's deficient. Yeah. I would go, forget that. Because what happens, you're trying to figure it all out and you don't do anything. Mm-hmm. So I would just call it my 2% rule. Zero in on one thing. And if you knock that out of the park earlier, you feel you made an improvement, then it would work on something else. Yeah. So that's kind of the role, and it goes hand in hand. But we did a lot, and I talk about it in my book. But the one, I don't get emotional. I'm so proud to say this. My son walks the stage at Kent State University on Saturday, and he is a vision of what good looks like. And we would have never got there, and I need to say this, if it wasn't for the works of Dr. Robert Melillo, neuroplasticity and brain balance. But that was after trying to unearth what I was nonstop with. I exhausted my wife. Every modality on the planet I would look into and research. In this one, I said, let's give it a shot. And it really worked. We rewired my son's brain. And by the way, I'm not paid for them. I've never met Dr. Melillo. I thanked him. I sent him an email. But that's the extent of it. But it was a game changer for my son. And they also do food improvement there, too. They talk about changing the nutrition, which I was already kind of doing. But that's how I applied the 2% rule. And I've actually had to counsel a few fathers. I've seen them go stoic on me, because they're trying to figure out what to do. Men want to fix things. And you can't, quote unquote, fix autism. If they fall down, they scrape their knee, you put a Band-Aid on it. Right. But with autism, it's so weighty that I've told them this is your clear path to calming yourself down and helping your child. And I talk about the 2% rule.
Yeah, it's so manageable. And, I think, and then you start to have success.
Right.
And when you start to have success, it motivates you to want to keep going and to add more. And I think that is, such a powerful way to look at it, because, it is so true from a parent's perspective. There's so many different people coming at them and sharing recommendations and the deficits and the potential future that they think may or may not happen. And, that's so overwhelming. And I think this is just so logical and concrete. And, I know we're not going to spend a lot of time on it today with the brain balance, but I'd love for you just to share really briefly what the brain balance is and what kind of therapy that was for your son.
So to sum this up very quickly, every child on the spectrum is born with one hemisphere larger than the other. Initially, it might actually be an advantage, but as they grow apart. Thus, his first book, Disconnected Kids. What they do at Brain Balance is focus on this hemisphere that's smaller, whether it's left or right. And they go through, and they hit on every sense, sight, smell. They go through everything. What it does, it enhances the weaker hemisphere. So you reconnect. And the amazing part to me, I'll never forget, to tell everyone the results we had, we first met with them, and Gus filled out a questionnaire. He was in an autistic fog. He was obsessed with cars. And it was very juvenile, his handwriting. So 12 weeks later, first semester, they walk up and they slide the paper over. It's the same questionnaire. And I go, yeah, who's this? They go, that's your son. And Gus was pulled out of the autistic fog. I mean, we still had issues. But he was present, if you follow me.
Yeah.
And everything was logically answered in very comparable to his peers. And my wife and I sat and got to the car with chills. We were almost crying. And we signed up for 2 more semesters. Now, I talk about my wife being a hero. It was in an awful area in Pittsburgh. It's hard to reach. It's like on an island. You have to go through the University of Pittsburgh, fight traffic. She drove in 3 semesters over 8,000 miles.
Wow.
And would come home late at night. She's a hero. And then we would try to help her if we could, but she was the primary one taking him.
Yeah.
It was amazing. But what it did was just rewire the brain. His taste buds even were enhanced. He would taste things he normally would eat and go, man, this tastes even better than what I thought. We start noticing changes. His teachers came to us and went, what are you doing? He's advocating for himself. He's fighting. If it wasn't for that tipping point, and keep in mind, I've tried everything.
Yeah.
We would not hear about him. He's going to be going to graduate school as well, and it wouldn't be happening. But Saturday is going to be a pivotal moment in our life. We're very excited.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about where Gus is today. This is a huge milestone this coming weekend for your whole family. What a celebration. And
I have chills. I just can't wait. So Gus is a handsome 22-year-old kid. I call him my happy hippie. The juxtaposition between my boys is hilarious. You have my happy hippie Gus, who literally cannot think a bad thought. Autism is his superpower. I actually love it because Gus is a bright light, loves people. He's always positive, literally incapable I'm not joking, of saying something bad about someone. Then you have my youngest son. Not that Max loves people, he's social, but he's my 200-pound savage, and he's a college football player.
Yeah.
And I love the juxtaposition between the two, but Gus is graduating with an exercise science degree. He's going from Kent State, he's going to Kent State East Liverpool here close locally to get his physical therapy assistant degree, and then he'll be working. So I lay out vision boards for both boys. And now Gus does have the rigidities, the autism rigidities. So we have degree, Ram truck. Every dollar from this book is going to go to getting him his dream vehicle, which is a Ram truck. We're going to do that within the next 2 weeks. Me and my best friends, he calls them his Ram brothers. We're going to go. Then he's going to get his second degree. Then he's going to get a job, and then we're going to work on getting him a wife. Now, I want him to date. He's a good-looking kid, but those rigidities are there. And he goes, Dad, I won't do it. And we go up the vision board, and I go, I get it. So he is... if the world were like my son, the world would be a better place, because if you're around him, you feel the positive energy. And he would go, we were lucky. We were the go-to house. We have a basketball court in the front. We have the biggest play set in the back. I would hear all the kids talking. And if they were disparaging someone, I would hear Gus go, he's not that bad. He treats me well. And that's kind of his mentality, is he looks for the good in everyone. And I just love that.
What a blessing he is. I mean,
total blessing.
Such a, model for anybody.
Oh, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this. He won a National Courage Award. This book would never have happened. I said to him, listen, we may open up our lives to the world here. If you don't want that, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
He goes away, walks in about 10 minutes later and says, Dad, if it'll help one person, we got to do it.
Oh.
And I thought, whoa, that was pretty mature. So I stopped in the middle of a giant keynote speech in Florida at the Ritz-Carlton in Orlando and mentioned that. A guy heard it, and he ended up winning a National Courage Award by the Lukumi Make a Difference Foundation. It's an international organization. So I'm really proud of the young man he's become. I would not, he can't hear out his right ear. He has primary ciliary dyskinesia. He has to move for his lungs. And he has autism. If God came down, I would never, autism, he has defined what autism is.
Yeah.
Autism doesn't define him.
Right.
I would just give him hearing. I would give him my ear. I would say, hey, here you go. That's the only thing. I would never change him or change the fact that he's on the spectrum because he's awesome, because it's a superpower.
Yeah, incredible. It's such a beautiful story. I mean, he's going to continue to do big things. I have no doubt. So,
and you know what's great now is we're going to be doing more TV together and some interviews when he gets home from school.
Good.
They've been requesting that. So I think he's a symbol of what potential could look like and what hard work looks like.
Yeah.
And I think he wants to be a beacon of hope for people as well.
He can be. Yep, he can be. And he's already shown it. So incredible. And, now let's talk about the PALS program. It's PALS, correct?
Yes, I launched their golf tournament this weekend.
Oh, nice.
So I've gravitated to two major organizations here in Pittsburgh. First was PALS. So we, at the time, we were diagnosed and we felt like we were on an island. And we were in a neighborhood with, and they still are, jocks. We have college soccer starters, baseball, and we were in therapy. We weren't in sports.
Yeah.
So our Parks and Rec director, Bob Brozovich, was like, I'm thinking about putting together an organization for special needs children. So myself, my wife, and a few other families got together and founded PALS. And it stands for Providing Acceptance, Love, and Support. And it's for all special needs, hearing impaired, sight impaired, Down syndrome, autism. Then what happened is the amazing Kelly Kane, who's one of the moms, founded the Autism Caring Center here in Pittsburgh. I was the first individual she asked to be on the board. And it went from an idea in a broom closet to now helping thousands of families here in Pittsburgh. This weekend was interesting. Both are big events. The golf tournament fundraiser for PALS and she had about 400 to 500 mothers, the Autism Caring Center Mother's Day Conference. So I had to run in the morning, give a big motivational speech. I was the chairman for 13 years. So the book, I've become pretty busy. And to the golfers, leave there, talk about drinking caffeine. I had to run over to the Caring Center, the conference, talk to moms, motivate the mothers, do a book signing. But I was able to touch both organizations and help a lot of people at the same time. But, by the way, I believe in what Autism Speaks does as well. I was actually involved in them at one point, but it's just too much. So these two organizations I love, and what I love about the Caring Center, for every dollar we raise, I could show you the family we're helping. And we're spreading into Ohio, West Virginia. So it's been amazing. I love both organizations, and I'm honored to be affiliated with both.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. Well, it'd be great to include their contact info in the show notes, if that's okay.
That'd be awesome. I'll send it all to you.
Okay, perfect. Let's do it.
This show is brought to you by Therapeutic Approach to Growth. Therapeutic Approach to Growth helps families with relationship and behavioral needs. Their holistic programs are individualized to honor and respect each family and their autistic son or daughter's sense of self through programs such as relationship development intervention, naturalistic ABA, and animal-assisted services. If you're finding yourself frustrated or discouraged with your current behavioral programs and would like to see more long-term meaningful growth for you and your family, then contact TAG today at www.tagforgrowth, that's TAGFORGROWTH.com, to learn more about how to schedule a consultation or how they can offer you the help your family needs, whether in person, remotely, or in a school setting. Again, that's www.tagforgrowth.com.
I know you mentioned kind of speaking to moms, and they would come up to you and ask for help with their husbands. And what did that reveal to you, and what did that look like?
Well, that's the origins of the book. So in 2014, the brilliant Kelly Kane that I just mentioned started the Autism Notebook in Pittsburgh. So it was the first publication for families. She wanted me to speak. I was the first dad to go give a keynote, and I'm talking, and as I spoke, I'm noticing 5, 10, 12 mothers start lining up, and they're emotional. And my first thought was, did you say something offensive? Like, I didn't know what was going on. When I got done and I walked off the stage, picture this, physically grabbed. And they go, hey, our husbands or boyfriend isn't where you're at, and we need your help. And as you could tell by now, I'm not shy. So I said, bring on the numbers, give me their numbers. I ended up having like a lot of cups of coffee, one dinner, a few, unfortunately, hung up on me. And I was able to talk with them. And the idea of the book in breaking through to fathers. Now, my book isn't strictly for fathers, but there's that angle there, telling them to wake up. So then I just mentioned the Autism Caring Center. I was asked to deliver the keynote speech. I was, again, the first and only father to ever do it. And when I did, I got the same reaction. And I looked at my wife, I looked at my speech, and I said, I'm going to put this into a book. Now, I want to state, my book is about 150 pages. It's not huge. This is done on purpose. Dealing with fathers, I found that there's the machismo dad, there's the stoic dad, and I'll break them up. The machismo dad is the toxic masculinity. There's no way I birthed a child with an issue. I'm not on board. The stoic dad is actually on board, but the wife doesn't realize it. Again, he wants to fix it. He doesn't know how to, because you can't. So he's so quiet in his thought process that the wife thinks he's not there. My book is a bridge for both of them. So it's a motivational book, I think, for a mother. So we have so many moms that write it and love it. But I wanted to touch into it with those dads. But I looked at my wife and I came home. The other thing I will tell you was a real eye-opener. We have had all of the Mount Rushmore mothers you could find in Barnes & Noble speak at the conference. Your Carrie Cariellos, Kate Swensons. I would ask them and go, name me 5 dads. 5 nationally prominent dads. Blank stares. Then they would throw a few podcasters out. I've done the podcast. And I go, no. I mean voices, guys that are really out there. The fact that they looked at me with a blank stare said there's a void here.
Yeah.
And I'm a disruptor. I feel I'm a leader. And I thought to myself, okay, I've helped my son. I'm helping my community. What if I go national, international with this? The beauty now, so in Greek, we call it philotimo. It's the most powerful word in the Greek language. There's really no true definition, but I say good for the sake of doing good and asking nothing in return. You know you're going to cause a ripple effect.
Yeah.
This book has done this for me. And it's a good thing to get that philotimo. I'm hearing from parents, from fathers all over the world. And I'm causing a paradigm shift in thinking, and that's all I really wanted, And I tell everybody, I'm not hiding. I'm really easy to find if you Google my name. I'm on Insta. I'm everywhere. I'm on Facebook. And I'm glad that people are taking me up on contacting me and sitting down and having these discussions.
Yeah, incredible. And if a dad wanted to talk with you after hearing this, they would just reach out to you.
You better believe it. And I say what I mean. I'm not doing this just to write a book and throw it away. The greatest compliment that I got, I've been over, there was a dad out of the UK that was telling me that got the diagnosis. He even said I was mad at my kid. I was mad at the child, mad at my wife. And then the wife said, there's a line in my book, it's kind of funny. It says, hey, jackass, at least read a chapter. Yeah. And she gave it to him and he says, okay, thank God, again, it's short for a reason. He read it. He said, I had a paradigm shift in thinking. He sent me like a 6-paragraph dissertation, came down the steps, and he looked at his wife and went, what can I do today to help? And her jaw dropped open. But I got chills. I ran out and went, Michelle, I went to my wife, read this. But that's what I want is, I'm not asking for miracles, but just be present and get involved and help your kid. And honestly, I try to call out their masculinity. You're a dad. Your number one job is to do everything you can, whether the child's neurotypical or neurodivergent. Jump in and help. So sitting there and doing nothing just sends them into the abyss. And I try to relay that to them every time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, do you think that that's the biggest struggle that dads face, or are there other ones that you think are bigger than that?
No, I think that's what it is. I mean, I don't know how to frame it. Every dad wants their kid to be an alpha, if you follow me. And they see, autism is, I don't want to call it that's incorrect, call it a weakness, but there's a child that definitely needs a lot more assistance. How about that?
Yeah.
And I think, they can't grapple with that, and I don't know why. And I did throw myself under the bus. I was that belligerent, moronic father. But what I try to tell them is, listen, when I got back, when I found out we got the diagnosis, game on, let's go. Because
Yeah.
and like I said, I understand everybody's different, and I am all cognizant of that. So I've told fathers, you're a good man. Like I had one guy go, oh no, it's taken me a year. So what though? You're here.
Yeah.
I know it took him a little bit longer, and I always try to don't beat yourself up. Just congratulate yourself for getting to the point where you're like, I'm all in. I'm
Yeah.
ready to go. And the other thing I'll encourage mothers or fathers, if you're struggling, remember one thing. I'm Greek Orthodox, but I don't preach it, but I have a strong faith. There's my cross. God doesn't make a mistake.
Yeah.
So think of it as a compliment. God has handed you a child that needs a little bit extra care or a lot of extra care, but he saw the strength in you. So
Yeah.
you're doing your maker a disservice if you're ignoring that.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes just throwing that out to them, I've used that line and they look and go, my God, you're right. And I know I'm right, and I think it kind of helps. So like I said, I'm just
Yeah.
really honored to make a difference and knowing that it's helping a few people out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if there's one thing, kind of one mindset shift that for dads that are listening, we'll stick with dads right now, but to show up differently or feeling this way, feeling like, oh, I want to do better, but I don't know how. What would you say to them?
First, I would say for those that might be combative, drop your ego because you're not being a man. You're actually being less of a man. I'm going to be blunt by not accepting it, not moving forward. And I hate to say this, I love that there's a machismo factor in here with all of the Sun Tzu and the Bruce Lee, because I want them to grasp, I've knuckled up in the boxing ring, I've been hit, I've delivered hits.
Yeah.
But a real comprehensive male also has empathy, has passion, has caring. And in life, you're a stronger man if you help those around you and you help others than you belittle them. So that's just my philosophy. I want my sons to be well-rounded. And that's why I want them to get away from this. There's actually a Netflix documentary on it, on this toxic masculinity that's out there. To me, it's a toxin. It's ridiculous. And, I want males to understand, drop the ego
Yeah.
and look at the true situation and wake up every day with a goal that I'm going to help my child and I'm going to support my spouse. I'm going to put my arm around my spouse and go, I'm with you. We're going to be, and you need to have that teamwork. And a quick analogy I give in a lot of the speeches that I've given, my wife and I are athletic. We kayak. It's great. Single kayak. We were at Bethany Beach, Delaware, and we tried a tandem kayak. And in between, we had to go to church after that. There were so many obscenities because the damn thing was going left and right. When we finally figured it out and we start rowing in unison, it took off really quickly.
Yeah.
That analogy applies to parents. If you're not in unison, you're not rowing in the same boat, you're going left and right. You need to be together. You're going to have fights. It's going to happen. You're human. But ultimately, you have to be copacetic in your thinking.
Yes. I just had a vision of your next book, The Kayak.
I have a couple more here, so you never know. I have a couple more in my head. I'm going to get started on the second one, so we'll see.
Be excited. You keep me posted on what's to come. But I think it's so true. I mean, that's a whole nother topic for parents, spouses to be in unison. And, there is such a high divorce rate and having special needs kids out there. And, I just think that is a whole nother need out there for families to, have some guidance too, to work together and be in unison. Also,
absolutely.
Sometimes easier said than done. And I think what you're doing with your book right now and what the message you're sharing is certainly helping that as well.
Thank you.
So, and I want to mention that your book is an Amazon bestseller, correct? And translated into 4 languages.
So I'm so thrilled. And it's part of the reason it's held up writing the second book. So here's the Greek cover here, which I love, with the black boxing gloves on it. So it's in Greek. And they actually want me to go to Chios, Greece to do a book signing. Greek, German, Spanish, and French. So we've been marketing the international books. I have to shoot some videos for those later. I'm so blessed and humbled that it is sold so well and making an impact. I know there's a lot of first-time authors that doesn't happen, but it also says to me that a male voice in the autism space, and by the way, I want to note, I have enormous respect because my wife's one of them for every warrior mom. I just was with 400 of them last weekend. But the male voice also needs to be represented and heard. That says to me that this is filling, to some small extent, 'cause there's other great I've met some amazing dads through this, but I think it's filling a bit of a gap.
Yeah, absolutely it is. Yeah. And just your passion, for speaking up for the dads and the spouses as well.
Thank you.
It's a need. So, and let's talk about the vision boards too. I love that you do vision boards. I love vision boards. I've done it with my staff. I've done it with my kids. And you reminded me when you said that the other day, we need a refresh on our vision boards. So in our house, so we're going to get them out again and make the new ones. But why do you do vision boarding and how has that helped your boys?
So I always tell my boys, if you're walking into a dark cave and you can't see, so what your vision board is your torch, right? As you're walking forward, but you also had the end goal. So we just talked about Gus, and I'll repeat it again: degree, truck, degree, job, wife. Very clear vision. From my youngest son, Max is a football player. He's obsessed with the game. And he told me, I want to coach. Well, I've been around NFL and Division I and all the way down to 3 coaches for 30 years. I'm on board then, but I tell you what we're going to do. This summer, he's going to meet with every NFL coach. I've been connected to him a lot of them, Division I coach, asking him how they got there. He's doing a coaching internship. So we laid all that out. And I told him, if you need a strength and conditioning certification, whatever else, you're going to get it. But that leads you to your goal. So for children, as adults, I'm between sports, my job. I develop therapeutic migraine clinics. Between that, everything else, I'm split all over the place. But I still engage in a vision board for myself. For children or young adults, it's very important. Yeah. They need to have that delineated path. And let me say this: some young adults don't know exactly what they want to do yet, and that's fine too. Yeah. But that doesn't mean they can't have some tangible goals to kind of leapfrog a little step by step until they know exactly what they want. If epiphany happens their junior year, I want to be a doctor. Now you have a clear vision. But I think they're very important. I do. I think they're very important. And I will ask them on occasion, is what you're doing today enhancing your vision board, getting to where you want to go? So I just think they're very important.
Yeah. Do you have them put them up in their room, or so they see?
Oh no. It's so again, they happen to have I'm like a mindset coach, and every day. So we have every day when I wake up, I send my son Stoic philosophy quotes, leadership quotes, if I could find things, whether it's through Instagram, me texting. So long story short, the reason they don't need to write it down is I remind them all the time. Yeah. And I right before we came on, I moved my youngest son out. He's going to train right now on the field. He's a football player. And I was reminding him, and he goes, "I know, Dad." Because I'm always kind of hammering that, Yeah. But you know what, right? There's nothing wrong at all with writing it down and actually having it on the board. We've done that too. Yeah. So, but I just think it's important to have some vision. Yeah. And let me repeat again, if your child your young adult isn't exactly sure where they want to go, then make it short term. But once they declare, off to the races, and you could start building the life for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I've done it with my kids who are younger, just to start the practice of the visualizing and the planning, even if it's for fun things for them when they were younger, so that they see the value in that. And I think it's just so powerful, and it really helps you achieve your goals. So,
and I really think it's important to note on your podcast, because I heard it this weekend too. Some people have come to me and went, well, Gus is level 1. I have to get used to the level thing because I didn't have that 20 years ago. And he's more mild. Although that's true, what I remind him in my book, and I remind them, I'm about progressive improvement. Like my 2% rule is James Clear's Atomic Habits on steroids. Mm-hmm. So just because your child is level 2 or 3, I understand their futures may look a little bit different, but improvement may look different, but it's improvement either way. Yeah. So you can't think myopically and go, well, my kid's maybe moderate to severe. There's something you could do daily to help them become the best version of themselves. Yeah. So I understand that I'm blessed that I have a child that probably is going to live on his own and have a job and, God willing, have a wife. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean that you can't take items from my book and apply it to your child, even at a level 3, if you follow me.
100%. Yeah. And ultimately, you're just helping, each parent is helping their child reach their potential, right?
Exactly. The best version of them that they can be. And I will say this briefly. The keynote speaker over the weekend was Jordan Zimmerman, who's a young woman who was trapped in her, basically, all the intellect was there. She simply doesn't speak. They were labeling her everything. They found the right teacher in this young lady who they would label severe, now is speaking through her machine. She gave the most beautiful, humorous speech. Yeah. She's living on her own. She has friends. So never let anyone tell you what your child can't do. That's all nonsense. I was going to cuss, but I won't. That's all nonsense. Yeah. I never let anyone put a limitation on my son. And because of that, the sky's been the limit.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you mentioned that. I think that is such a big thing that goes on still to this day. Parents are told so many things that their child will not be able to do. And they have shown time and time again that is not the case. And you never know what the potential and the full capacity will be for anybody in life.
Absolutely.
And we have a lifetime to learn, so we're never done learning. So
never. It's so funny you said that. I was talking to my son about that today. We are all lumps of clay. And when you stop learning, you stop living. Every day. Again, if I flip this around, I have so many new books I have to read up here. And I love listening every day, whether it's a mindset podcast, leadership podcast, anything. There's always, even when I'm doing kettlebell at the park, I'm listening to something to enhance my brain.
Yeah, 100%. I love it. Fantastic. Well, amazing. I would love to talk about the saying that you have, if you're breathing air, you should be helping others. That stood out to me. And what does that mean to you? And how do you put that to practice?
So I mentioned philotimo earlier about helping others. My brother, my brother is a philanthropist, both internationally and nationally. It has been ingrained in us. It's a Hellenic principle. But, to me, legacy is everything. When I'm 6 foot under, about 120 years from now, hopefully, I want people around, not just my sons, not just my wife, my family. I want people in my community to go, he cared, he mattered, and he made a difference. That is strength, not this nonsense we hear about. And this machismo, I was going to cuss again, nonsense.
Yeah.
What matters is, are you helping people? Are you lifting others up? Are you compassionate? I try to tell some of these dads, I've told you before, I could swing a 90-pound kettlebell. I'll be doing it about a half hour when we're done. I fought in the ring. That machismo part's there. That doesn't make me a man. What makes me a man, what makes me a better human being is helping others. So that is my philosophy, and people seem to love that quote. I need to trademark it. but I really do believe that. And legacy matters to me. Legacy, I want my boys to continue on what I started. So it really matters. What makes a great person is who they lift up, not who they tear down. It's just that simple.
Fantastic. It's beautiful. Yeah, you've got to have that quote out there. I mean, it's so simple and telling and just means so much in such a simple phrase. So I love it. Well, for parents that are really in a dark place right now and they can't begin to find hope, what would you say to them?
So they're in a different time and place than we were 20 years ago. Things have really, really advanced. And I don't mean to simplify things, but it would be a hard, depending on the state they're in, there's so many available resources now that are a Google search away. So the first thing I would tell you, find a village. Are there groups locally that can assist you? When I say this, are there autism, like PALS I just mentioned, or the Autism Caring Center? There's probably something like that in your area where you could talk to battle-tested parents and pick their brain. Also Google for those people that can help them, and then immediately if you get a diagnosis, start building that village. And I will tell you, I find lack of education now inexcusable. And I am East Coast type A. So I have a hard time when I see parents go, he's been diagnosed about a year ago. I got to start looking into it. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like Sun Tzu, know thy enemy, right? Attack it. I'm not saying you're going to eliminate autism, but I wanted to know I immediately went out to Barnes & Noble and bought every book I can. So get online, find a local group. If there's no local group, there's tons of groups on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Insta. Jump on those. find your local physicians, neurodevelopmental physicians that can help you.
Mhm.
The internet will send you that way, but you have to do it. And let me say this, sitting back idle, I will yell at you. There is zero excuse. And I want a parent to remember this, especially one that might be with a newly diagnosed child. Apathy leads to sending that child to abyss.
Mhm.
Jump on it, help them. If you start early enough, you can make a big, big difference with these children. So
Yeah.
just keep that in mind.
Yeah, 100%. It's interesting. Most guests say the same thing, find your village.
You need the support system. It's just,
Yeah.
and don't get me wrong, I don't want to sound like I could handle it. No, no. You know what? The best part about it was how close it brought so anybody that's seen my big fat Greek wedding, you know I didn't have to worry about the family. I
Mhm.
mean, we were inundated with food and baklava and everything else.
Yeah.
But watching my friends step up, watching my friends self-educate themselves
Mm.
was so good. That means more to me than anything else.
Yeah.
And that was important, you know? And I'm going to say this again. If they really love you, they'll do the education. And if you have to, go buy some books and hand it to them. But if they're your friend, they should have just a basic understanding of it. But you need that support system, build that village up. And if you don't live around family and you don't have, if you're just newly moved to a place,
Yeah.
again, online, you're going to find people that want to help you and care.
Yeah, that's the beauty of now. There's so many resources online now where back in the day there weren't.
We had none of it. I mean, that's the beauty. Like I look now and I'm like, oh, it might have been different, you know, if you got diagnosed yesterday. We
Right.
had none of it, and you just had to kind of do it on your own.
Yeah, 100%. It's so true. Well, looking back, to your younger self, the very beginning, what would you say to yourself, knowing what you know now?
The, it's a good question. The one thing I would say is you're gonna be all right.
Mm-hmm.
You like take a breath, like because despite all my positivity, everybody might get a sense from me was that angst of going, what do we do? What's the future look like? I would love to go back and go take a breath,
Mm-hmm.
grind it out every day. Everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Decompress.
Mm-hmm.
Be there for your wife, decompress, you're going to be okay. Because that angst is always there. And, like for me now, if I seem elated, I'm starting to see some light at the end of the tunnel. This Saturday's huge.
Right.
So I think, but that's what I would that's what I'd probably tell myself.
Yeah. Yeah. That's such good feedback. Incredible. And it's, that uncertainty in the beginning is so powerful for families that, to know,
Exactly.
there's hope and it's out there. And there's so many stories of success, and there's no reason it can't be that for any family.
Right. Exactly.
And what does thriving mean to you now?
Thriving to me is, and I'm putting in perspective of my son, is just knowing that we're putting in a position to thrive in life. And I believe we're getting there, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday's the first big step.
Yeah.
And let's say your child is more level 2 going on 3, and there's a chance they're going to be with you. That's fine too. Honestly,
Yeah.
but what you should be looking at is thriving would be optimizing that child. Are they potty trained? Can they feed themselves? Is there a job in the area that they can do? And there's so many job share programs now. It's great.
Yeah.
But for me, thriving for me was just knowing that I put everything in to making sure that my son, had a path for success.
Yeah.
And I really feel, after countless hours, I mean, look, I'm Stoic philosophy. The obstacle is the way.
Mm-hmm.
The struggles we went through strengthened us.
Yeah.
And now it makes it more gratifying knowing that kid on Saturday is going to be walking the stage and getting his diploma.
Yeah.
I've said it 50 times, but I just can't wait.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be so emotional. I would be bawling if I were in your seat. I mean, that is
I just can't wait. I'm so excited.
Yes, absolutely. Well, fantastic. Well, this was amazing. I want to have you share where people can find you, where they can buy your book, and any other resources that you would like to share.
Sure. So again, my name is Harry Psaros. So I put it over there. You can see the book cover. My last name. So my website is Harry Psaros, harrypsaros.com. Talks about my vision, talks about the book. The international books are in there as well. I'm easy to find. Harry Psaros on Facebook, Harry Psaros on Insta. We just hit over 30,000 followers.
Fantastic.
And I'm a sports guy now, so I'm at Pitt Guru, PITTGURU on Twitter. But I have a lot of people that have read the book and follow me as well, because I sprinkle health things in there, some autism things, along with a lot of sports. But basically, I'm on LinkedIn, Harry Psaros on LinkedIn. Reach out to me. I love to hear from people. I love building that village. I'm doing it on an international level now. Bring it on. Message me if you have any questions, and I'd love to hear from people.
Awesome. Well, fantastic. Well, Harry, this was such a pleasure to have you on, and I just love your energy, and it's infectious, and I can't wait to see what's to come for you, and I will certainly be following you, and I just appreciate you being here today.
I can't thank you enough. This is an honor. I'll send you pictures after the weekend, and you'll see me bawling.
Yeah.
But thank you so much. I appreciate the platform, knowing that more people might find out about me and I can help them. So I really appreciate everything.
Awesome. All right. Well, have a great day.
You as well.
I'm dancing on the edge again. The wind is calling my name. I'm dancing on the edge again. This time I'm not looking back there. You can change me, you can tell me down. I'll leave echoes in every place I find. I break the molds with the rebel's mind. I'm a hurricane of free, born mind.
The information provided on this podcast is for general informational purposes only. The content shared is based on the experiences, opinions, and perspectives of the hosts and their guests, and should not be construed as medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment recommendations. The discussions and topics covered are intended to foster understanding and awareness of autism therapies, but are not a substitute for professional medical guidance. Before making any decisions regarding therapies or treatments, we strongly encourage you to consult with a qualified healthcare provider who can provide personalized recommendations based on your unique circumstances. By listening to this podcast, you acknowledge and agree that the hosts, guests, and producers are not responsible for any consequences, damages, or outcomes arising from the use or application of any information during the show.